and it's just stunning. Can you tell I'm on TikTok a lot? Hi. Okay, do you think I remember how to do this? It's been a while. It's been a while. Okay. Hi everyone, welcome back to Popsicle-Frog Knits. My name is Brooke, and this is oh my god. When I start talking to no one, she thinks I'm talking to her. So she really doesn't get the whole recording situation. Hello. Oh my goodness, okay. We're gonna start over. Hi everyone, welcome back to Popsicle-Frog Knits. My name is Brooke. This is a channel where I make videos about knitting. So far that's all I've done. We'll see if that ever changes, who knows. I have a tendency to switch hobbies, but the knitting's been going on for the longest amount of time I've ever stuck with a hobby. So, who knows? But, hi, it's been a while. I think it's been about 5.5 or 6 weeks since I recorded a video because I was out of the country for the month of October. And today I'm going to be talking about the yarns that I bought during my trip around Europe, because I feel like this is something common with knitters, but I decided I didn't want actual any souvenirs or anything. I just wanted yarn so then I could make myself souvenirs and garments that reminded me of my trip, which it was a fantastic trip. I had a great time. I'll probably talk a little bit more about it as I'm going through the yarn. But it was fantastic. I was with my best friend who lives in Australia, and I had not seen her in 2.5 years. So it was incredible to be able to spend an entire month with her. So that's kind of the gist of this video. It is cold and rainy in Houston today. And by cold, I mean it's probably in the 50s, which is cold for Houston considering it was 80 a week and a half ago. So I have on my traveler's cardigan, which is a pattern by Ozetta knitwear. I made it just before my trip and I love it so much. And I have a warm beverage, which this is one of the souvenirs I did buy on my trip because we went to Disneyland Paris on my birthday, and so we got matching mugs, and on this side it has Minnie Mouse, who has some chocolate on her face because I'm drinking hot chocolate that has a tiny bit of coffee in it because I put it in the cup with the remainder of my cold coffee. It's pretty good. So I lost my train of thought. I haven't done this in a while. You can probably hear Ripley in the background. She's kind of itchy because it's raining and her paws get wet and we dry them, but they're still itchy. So I'm sorry if her noises are distracting. But why don't we get into the video? So I'm gonna go through kind of in order because that just makes sense to me. But I am gonna start with the first yarn I got was actually a present from my best friend, Astrid. She was in Italy for about 1.5 weeks before I got there, and she got me some yarn while she was in Italy. So I'm gonna start with that, which, this is my bag of yarn. It's very exciting. The bag's from Little Weasel, which is in Paris, and I'll talk more about it when I get to that part of the trip. But we'll start this one and this one. Okay, put the bag down. So she got these in Italy. I'm not sure which city or what store, but they're from Italy, and they are Norvegia. Okay, let's talk about pronunciations real quick. I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my best, and some of the pronunciations I have tried to look up. Some of them I forgot about, and we're just gonna go with it and see what happens. But, so these are both Norvegia Merinos, which I believe is, I'm not sure if that's the company or what yarn it is, but they are both, I'd say, a chunky yarn. So this one is this pretty gray color, and then the other one is this really pretty green. And if you've been here before, you know that I'm obsessed with green. I don't have anything in this dark green color though, so I'm glad to have this one. And these are 50% wool, 50% acrylic, and like feeling them and the way like it's plied, it looks a lot like Al Pacino Merino from Wool and the Gang. I mean, obviously it's a different fiber content, but like in the skein and looking at, let's see if I can, if it'll focus on the fiber. I don't know if it did, but it looks like that. I think it's the same thickness, so I think it's a bulky weight yarn. It's made in Italy, and this one is color 408, and this one is color 442, and 100 grams is 100 meters, so it is bulky, I believe. But I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with these yet. I'm trying to come up with a project that I could use them for. I'm thinking maybe like combining them with some other bulky yarn and making like a scarf or a hat of some kind, like some accessory. And yeah, don't know what I want to do with these yet, but I'm very excited to have them. They're a lovely present. And yeah, so that's the first yarn that I got. Again, it's from Italy. And then we'll move on to the next yarn I have, which is in this little bag. And I will say, I did almost no knitting on my trip. So I like took projects to work on, and because I was like, we're going to be on the trains a lot, we're doing a lot of traveling, but I ended up, when we were on the trains, like I just didn't want to knit. I just like, and since I started knitting at the end of last year in December, I have knit almost every single day, so it was very weird for me to go from knitting all of the time to really not touching any of my knitting. I think that it was a good break. I think it was very good for my hands, just to give them a break, but it's very weird because I didn't really knit anything in October, which is just weird to think about. I did, however, start using this yarn and did very little. So like I did knit like on the train like twice, but both times I was just like, I don't really want to be knitting right now. I was just kind of listening to music, and when Midnights came out, that's all I listened to. Alright, so next yarn. So this yarn is from Bern, which is in Switzerland, and that was our second stop. I flew into Zurich and met Astrid there, and we weren't there very long, so I didn't really try to find a yarn store. I was like, this is kind of, I'm a little bit jet lagged, I'm just getting used to this, so I didn't look for one. But And then we were gonna go to Geneva, but we're like, Geneva seems kind of boring for like touristy things. So we ended up switching our plans and going to Bern, which is, again, in Switzerland. And we had a great time in Bern. It was very cool. We stayed at a hostel and we met some fun people and we just kind of wandered around. We were pretty tired, but we did lots of walking. We went and saw a bear because there's like just a giant bear enclosure in Bern. And so we just watched this bear for a little bit. We walked through some markets, and that is actually where I found this next yarn. So it was not a yarn store, but it was like I think it was a Sunday, so it was like a market was set up and there were lots of stalls, and I found a yarn stall. And there were so many things. I get very overwhelmed by choice and options. And it was raining, so I was like, okay, I need to figure something out pretty quickly. So I decided to get a sock yarn. So let's grab this now. And this is the one project I did start on the trip. So let's get rid of the bag. And, oh, let me get the label out. Okay, so this is the yarn. I hope it's focusing. So it is this self-striping patterning yarn. Let me get a little bit of slack so I can show you how it's working up. Okay, I'm sorry the lighting kind of sucks because there's no natural light coming in today, so I have my overhead light on. So I think the shadows are not great when I do close-ups, but if I do it back here, I don't think it'll focus. So yeah, this is how the yarn's working up. And it was very cool because they had pictures kind of showing what the yarn was gonna look like knit up. And so it's a sock yarn. I think I said that. And it is, I think the brand is Opal. And it's part of the Beautiful World series. And it's 75% wool and 25% polyamide. So just like a traditional sock yarn. Come on. That's what the little tag looks like. And I was trying to figure out, so it's made in Germany. I was trying to figure out what color it is. I can't find it, but it's sock yarn. So I am making a pair of just vanilla socks following the kind of self-drafted pattern I've used before. And I was gonna see, I believe there's 100 grams. Yeah, so 100 grams, 425 meters. So I'm hoping I can actually get 2 pairs of socks out of it because the last pair of vanilla socks I made for myself, I only used 26 grams. That sounds wrong. No, I used 26 grams. So it does not take that much yarn for me to make socks. So I'm hoping I can get 2 pairs out of it and give one to Astrid. So she also has a pair of Bern socks. So this was the first yarn that I bought myself. Oh my goodness, we're already at 17 minutes. I really thought this one was going to be a relatively quick video. We'll see how that goes. Alrighty, moving on. So we went to Bern, and then after that we went to Lyon in France, and I did not get any yarn there because we were going back to France at the end of our trip, and so I wanted to wait. So after Lyon, we went to Barcelona, which was fantastic. I think Barcelona was one of my favorite places that we went, and I found 2 yarn stores there, which was very cool. So let's look at those yarns, which are back in the bag. So the first place I went in Barcelona, I got this gorgeous project bag. It just has a little tie, and the name of this one is La Lana Blue. I did look that one up, which it's how I thought it was pronounced, but I wanted to be sure. I'm wrong. That's the second one I went to. I just have both of them in this bag, but La Lana Blue is the second store I went to in Barcelona, my goodness. Okay, so the first one I went to in Barcelona is called All You Knit Is Love, which is an absolutely adorable name. And we walked in, and I was immediately drawn to this yarn, which is so odd because you'll see in a minute and I'll talk about it. But it is one of the shop's brand, like they have their own hand-dyed yarn. And so it's the All You Knit Is Love, and this is the Boca. That one I don't know how to pronounce. I'm pretty sure, no, I'm not gonna. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure it's like when there's like lens flares in movies and stuff. That's this word, if I'm remembering correctly, but I might not be, so we'll find out. But it is this beautiful hand-dyed variegated mohair. So let's, oh, it's so pretty. I really hope the colors are coming through. So there's like some lighter patches, but there's a lot of purple, some pinks, and some like darker brown purpley colors. And I got 2 skeins of this one. So see, this skein has a lot of brown there, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So the color is Cherry Sundae, and again, this was hand dyed in Barcelona by the shop, and I'm so excited to use it. And it's 420 meters for 50 grams, so I have about 840 meters, which is not a lot, but I like my clothing pretty cropped, so I'm hoping that I can get a sweater when holding this double. Not double, sorry, holding it with another yarn double. And I'm not 100% sure what pattern I'm gonna do. I did apply to test the Semper Sweater V-neck version by the Knit Pearl Girl, and I think if I get that, I'm gonna try to use this mohair, but we shall see. I do want a V-neck sweater, so I think that is what this is gonna become. We'll just see what happens and when that happens. So that is the first yarn store from Barcelona, which is these 2. Beautiful. I probably would have bought a third, but they only had 2. So let's add that to the pile back there. So next is La Lana Lu. I'm gonna get it. And I also got their in-store, like their brand of yarn. And I got this beautiful, like, look at the package. Like, that is just so pretty. It's this like gorgeous kind of rosy, I don't want to say beige, but it's like a dusty rose, I think is going to be the best way to describe it. And so it is La Lana Lu's in-store yarn. This is their fingering weight. So it's called Zinni, I believe is how it's pronounced. I found a video of them talking about it. So I have tried to do my research. So again, this is a fingering weight, or maybe it's a sport weight because it's 380 meters. it looks like a fingering in the hank, but I can't tell you for sure. But it is 100% Spanish merino wool, and the color name is Albert, which is cute. But I'm very excited to use this, and I don't know what I'm gonna use it for. I had a list on my phone of all the things that I wanted to knit, and like what size yarn I needed, how much yarn I needed. But when I got into the stores, sorry, Ripley is trying to get my attention. When I got into the stores, I just got so overwhelmed by choice and by all of the different yarns that I just lost. Like, I knew I had a list and I was looking at the list, but I couldn't for the life of me follow my list. I was just like, oh my god, that yarn's so pretty, I don't know what to do with it, but I want it. So that's where I'm at. I don't know what to do with these. If you have suggestions for like smaller projects that are not necessarily hats or scarves, which I know is not, that's probably what I'm gonna end up making. But if you have pattern suggestions for not a lot of yarn, let me know, because I could use the help. But, so that is the yarn I got in Spain. Specifically Barcelona, but that was the city that we went to in Spain. We also went to regional Spain in a place called Cadiz, and it was gorgeous. It was fantastic. We called it our vacation on our vacation, because we just kind of got to like slow down for a couple days. We made a charcuterie board. It was a great time. And there were no yarn stores there. It was a very small little place on the coast. Okay, so then let's move on to France. So, I'm not gonna lie. So, we went to, I don't know why I said I'm not gonna lie. Why would I lie? Okay, refocusing. So, when we went back to France, so we'd been to Lyon, then we went to Barcelona, Cadiz, back to Barcelona, and then back into France. We went to Marseille, which was very cool. It's the oldest city in France, if I'm remembering that correctly, but there were a ton of ancient Roman ruins, which also Barcelona had so many ruins and was incredible, like the history and also like all the architecture. Barcelona was incredible. I like was blown away. It was fantastic. And I feel like there's so many things that we didn't do in Barcelona that it's like at some point I have to go back to do like all of the other things that there are to do in Barcelona. But we went to Marseille and it was very pretty. We did in like all of these places, we did really, really good walking tours, which was awesome. And so I wasn't really looking for a yarn shop in Marseille because we were going to Paris after, and I knew that I was going to be buying the majority of yarn that I was going to buy in Paris. So I was not looking for yarn shops. And then for one day, we went to, and I'm going to say this very wrong, in English it's Aix-En-Provence, which I could say with a French accent because I took French for 10 years, but I'm so not confident in saying things that I'm not going to try to say it in a French accent. I will bring out my French accent in a second, but we went to Aix-En-Provence to meet one of Astrid's friends, and we just happened to walk by a yarn store, and I was like, this is crazy. I didn't plan it. I didn't even know there would be a yarn store. I mean, there's probably going to be a yarn store, but I wasn't looking for it, and we just happened to pass it, and I was like, oh my goodness, I want to go in. So we went in, and I bought one skein, and this also happens to be the brand of the shop. So it's a hand-dyed yarn, and the shop is Le Cat. I practiced pronouncing it while I turned my camera back on, but it is Le Chat qui tricote, which means the knitting cat, the cat that knits, which the little logo is just fantastic. I don't know why he's got like a little, it looks like he has a little like mask on, like he's Batman or something. I guess Catwoman would be a better comparison, but this is where we're at. So this is yarn dyed by hand in Aix-En-Provence, and this is a DK weight yarn, and it's called Dina. It's 100% superwash merino. It's 250 meters per 100 grams, and the color, I didn't know what the color was, like what it was called, what it meant until I looked it up, but it's a flower. So it's Myosotis, which is a very pretty, I'll insert a picture of the flower so you can see what it looks like. Google also says it's called scorpion grasses or mouse ears, because the little petals look like mouse ears apparently. So, that's the etymology of the word. So fun. But it's this beautiful blue tonal yarn. And again, not sure what I'm going to do with this. Part of me wanted to make a Sophie scarf with it, but I feel like I would not use that much of the yarn. And I'd rather do something where I use more of the yarn, because it has like this beautiful depth to it, and I think it would just, I feel like it would be a waste to only use like a tiny bit of the yarn on one project and not try to find something where I could use more of it. So that's this yarn. It has some like darker, more purpley blue colors in it, and it's just stunning. Can you tell I'm on TikTok a lot? Astrid and I started saying that as a joke, and now it's just in my speech. And I did try a Negroni Spagliato with Prosecco in it. I loved it. I understand why people have not been liking it, because it is not sweet. It's pretty sharp, but I really enjoyed it. And I didn't like, I went to a restaurant that had it on the menu. I didn't like go in somewhere and was like, can I get this? And it not being on the menu, because I would have been too scared to do that. But I liked it, if that means anything. But that's this one. So I'm gonna move on to Paris now. And so I knew that when I went to Paris, I really wanted to get some La Bien-Aimée yarn. And a lot of the stores I went to in Barcelona and the one in Marseille had it. But I was like, no, I'm buying it in Paris because it is dyed in Paris. And that's what I want to do. So that I knew I was going to be buying a garment's worth of yarn. So that's why I did not buy that much yarn prior, because I knew that like most of my yarn budget was going to be going to the yarn that I get in Paris. And so my birthday was on the 25th, so I turned 24. Crazy. Haven't really been like, I'm 24 out loud, but so my birthday was on the 25th, and we actually went to Disneyland Paris that day, because Astrid had never been to Disney, and I am a very big Disney person. I'm not a Disney adult. Please do not call me that. I hate it. I'm not. I just love Disney. And I grew up going to Disney. And I'll probably insert some pictures because it was the best birthday I've ever had. I was with my best friend. It was her first time at Disney. And so like watching her was just, it was so awesome to like watch her just be so excited. It was the best time. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I will start crying. But we had a fantastic day. It was in October, so all the villains were out, which I love the villains. I used to have a pair of Vans that had like the villains on them. It had like the Evil Queen, Maleficent, and I think Ursula. And I wore the shit out of those shoes. I loved them so much. They were my favorite. I feel like this is giving you lots of information that you don't need, but all the villains were out and it was just a fantastic time. But the day after we went to some yarn shops. So we went to La Droguerie, which is a chain. So there were, in all of the cities in France that we went to, except maybe Aix-En-Provence, there was La Droguerie. And I wasn't sure I wanted to get anything because it was pretty expensive yarn. And again, there's so many choices. Sorry, Ripley just got on my bed. You can see her little butt. There's so many choices that I really do get overwhelmed. I have really bad anxiety, if that is not obvious by the amount of times I say I'm overwhelmed. But like anxiety about making a decision, bad. I'm bad at that. So we went in and I was looking around. I'm like, I have no idea. I'm very overwhelmed. When I'm overwhelmed, I can't really think. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get anything. I'm just going to wait till we go to the next store. So it was beautiful in there. The yarn was so soft. At some point in my life, I do want to buy yarn from there, but it's so expensive. Like, I understand why it's expensive, but it's so expensive. Ooh, my camera is running low on power, so we're gonna keep going. So very overwhelmed, and I didn't buy anything. So then the next store that we went to in Paris, the store that we went to that I was the most excited for, and like that was the one store I knew I was like, this is the store we're going to in Paris, was Lil Weasel, which I showed the bag earlier, but I got this little tote bag, which was just like the bag that they gave me to carry the yarn. Like, I didn't buy the tote bag. But we went there and so much yarn, but I knew what I was looking for. I wanted LBA. So I didn't realize this shop is like broken in two. So I went in one side and I was like, there's no LBA. I know they have it. And I was like, oh, it's on the other side. So I went to the other side and I found the LBA Corey worsted. I mean, there were so many others. There were Merino singles. There was like MCN base. So many, and so many beautiful colors. And again, very overwhelmed. But I was like, okay, all of these variegated yarns are beautiful, but that's not what I normally knit with. I like my garments to be pretty not variegated. Like semi-solid tonal is what I go for. So I ended up picking La Bien-Aimée Corey worsted in the color High Garden. So there's the beautiful logo and this yarn. I love it so much. And okay, now I'm going to be completely honest when I say this is not the yarn that I bought in Paris. Because I've already used it all and I didn't have enough to finish my garment, so I had to order another skein. So this is from Yarnia, which is like Narnia. It's very adorable, which is, I believe, a shop in New Jersey that had this in stock. So I ordered one skein because that was all I needed to finish what I was making. And I'll show you now what I've been working on, because originally I wanted to film this video last week I was going to film it Thursday, and then I was like, I don't really have the energy. And then I was going to film it Friday, and my mental health got really bad that day, and I was like, I'm not filming. And this is the first chance I've had to film since my mental health picked up a little bit. And when I started this project last Wednesday, not the Wednesday that just passed, but the one before that, so like a week and a half ago, I was like, oh, it'll be fine. I'll still have a skein or two left that I can show in the video. But here we are. I'm showing you the extra skein, which I can't tell if they're in the same dye lot. They look very similar, so I'm just gonna go with it and hope for the best. But I have been making the champagne cardigan by Petite Knit. So I have gotten one arm done. I have the body done. Let's see if I put that around my head. The body done. And then last night I finished the button band, which is this beautiful double knit button band that has like the coolest buttonholes. Like, it's so cool how it's constructed. Very awesome. I'm not going to talk a ton about this because I'll talk about it in my podcast episode, which will come out at the beginning of December. Self-promotion. I'm terrible at it, but here we are. But this yarn, I love how it's working up. And this was not the garment I was planning to make. So when I bought it, I was thinking either about the Semper sweater, which calls for a DK, but I believe I could have gotten gauge with this yarn. And I was also thinking about the dad sweater, which just came out a couple days ago by Emily Curtis of Gently Chaotic Knits, or Emily Kurt on Instagram. She just released the dad sweater pattern, which I think is stunning and I really want to make, because I think it would be just like a fantastic staple piece to have, and I could use it, that's Chester, I could use it instead of like a gray sweatshirt. So elevate the basic that I wear a lot. Oh my goodness, Chester's coming up. Hi, Bobbus. Come here. Come here, my boy. Oh, you're my boy. You say hi to the camera? Gee, up here. This is Chester. Oh, Ripley's jealous. Okay, so I was thinking about either... Chester's gonna get down. Okay, back to... So, I was not originally planning to make the champagne cardigan. And so when I was at Little Weasel, I bought 4 skeins of yarn. I wanted 5, but they only had 4. So I knew that I was probably going to be short some yarn and have to figure out a solution. That solution ended up being just buying another one, because there was no way I was going to be able to finish this cardigan with the amount of yarn that I had left of the 4th skein, which I knew, which is why I did the sleeve first to see how much a sleeve would take. And then I was like, okay, I don't have enough yarn. So I ordered another one. And I decided to do a cardigan because they're way more practical for me. Because I live in Houston, it is normally pretty warm. And so a sweater is harder to take on and off. And I feel like a cardigan better regulates my temperature. So I decided to make another cardigan. So this was my birthday yarn. And like I knew this was gonna be, I knew I was gonna buy LBA, and I knew it was going to be expensive, but I used birthday money from my family, which is very kind and generous of them to buy this yarn. And I cannot wait to have this in my wardrobe. I really hope that I'm probably going to finish it tomorrow or Monday. So, okay, on to the last yarn, which is another present from Astrid because she's the best. And we got to the store and she's like, okay, pick another yarn. And I was like, no. And she's like, pick a yarn. I was like, so we picked one together because I'm going to make us both a pair of socks with this beautiful yarn by Life in the Long Grass. So it is variegated. I cannot wait. We picked the color out together, which it's Luganaza. Let's see. All of this info will be down in the description. I am going a little bit fast because my camera's about to die and I don't have another battery. But I'm going to be making us each a pair of socks because, again, I don't need that much yarn to make a pair of socks for myself. And Astrid has the same size feet as me, so works out really well. And I'm very excited. I've never used hand-dyed yarn to make socks, so this is gonna be very fun for me. And it's so soft. It is fine socks, so it's 460 yards per 100 grams. And it is hand-dyed in their studio in the Irish countryside, which I didn't know. But very excited. So that's all the yarn that I got on my trip. It's not a lot, which is fine because I didn't want to buy a lot. I don't really like having a large stash, and right now my stash is bigger than I ever thought it was going to be. So I'm trying not to buy a ton, and I say that even though I bought yarn like a week ago, which again I'll talk about in the next podcast when I do acquisitions. But that is my video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know it was a little bit chaotic, lots of Ripley jumping on me, and I'm just getting back into the groove of things. I'm so awkward sometimes. I'm very sorry. But I hope you guys have a wonderful, Ripley's back. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope you have gotten some knitting, crafting, whatever you like to do when watching these done. And for everyone in the US, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving next week. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Thank you again for watching. Bye.